ready to go. We are doing chapters 7, 8, and 9. California Real Estate Principles. We get to talk about contracts today. And the cool part about talking about contracts, this is actually on your test and you're going to use it in the real world of real estate. My students will be coming on in 1 minute. How many do we have in this class? I thought it was like 71, but it seems like they kind of go up and down. Yeah.
65.
55 is ready to go. Executory. That's how you say it. Now it sounds like I know what I'm talking about. We're on? Yay, we're on. Hi, you guys. Today is a really important day because we're talking about contracts. And I've talked to a couple people who have taken the text recently, and they said that the part on contracts is really, really hard. So today's really important because we're talking about contracts. So it says, what is a contract? You should be on page 174 in your real estate principles book. So it says, what is a contract? You're going to highlight in yellow. A contract is a promise made by one person to another person to do something or refrain from doing something. So that's all you're highlighting right there. Okay. Now it's not highlighted, but in the second paragraph, drop down to the bottom of that second paragraph and it says default. Sometimes people default on their contract, and that's called a breach of the contract. So that's something you might want to know just to have in your general head. They do not test you, I believe, on breach of contract, but they do test you on what is a contract you need to know. On the top of page 175, it says executory or executed contract. So you're going to highlight the first sentence. It says a contract is said to be executory. We were practicing how to say that word. When some future contract obligation is yet to be performed. So that's the first line. You're going to highlight that in yellow. Drop down under that paragraph and highlight when all of the contract obligations have been performed, the transaction is completed, and the contract becomes an executed contract. I would highlight that sentence in yellow, and I'd put a star by it because you have to know that an executed contract is one that is completely performed. Expressed and implied contracts, you need to know about those. It says, it's not highlighted, but I know you have to know this. So expressed and implied contracts. An express contract is a contract of words established by an oral or written agreement in which the parties declare their intention to make a contract. An implied contract is established by the conduct of the parties without a specific oral or written agreement. You need to know that, implied contract. So implied contract could be like somebody says, well, I didn't sign a rental agreement. Well, if you gave me a deposit and you moved in and you paid me rent for a while, that means that you know the terms of the contracts. So by moving in, it implied that you understood it. This is super important, the bilateral and unilateral contracts. Highlight the first sentence. It says, in a bilateral contract, both parties make a promise to do something or to refrain from doing something, or both parties are obligated to perform. In a unilateral contract, only one party promises and only that party is obligated to perform. So a listing contract, even though it doesn't say that, a listing contract is a bilateral contract because the seller is agreeing to do something and the real estate is agreeing to do something. So the real estate agent's agreeing to help you find a ready, willing, and able buyer. And that's so hard to say sometimes, ready, willing, and able buyer. And the seller's agreeing to make sure that they read the terms of the contract and help you. I mean, what people don't understand is a listing agreement. It's the seller and you working together to sell their home because they have to help you by making sure that when there's a showing, the house is clean, making sure that they are able to let the people in if they need to be let in, different things in the contract that they have to do. Go to the next page at the top of page 176 and highlight the typical real estate contract is a bilateral contract. Now this is the part that I think a lot of people have problems with. So here we go. I'm going to slow it down and it doesn't have a lot of highlights for you, but I know that it's in our cram course, so I know you need to know this. The valid, void, voidable, and unenforceable contracts. So if I was you, I'd put a bracket to the side of this one and make sure you know them. A valid contract is to be created easily